Well, it's time for Media Watch. James Creedon is here with us in the studio. Hello there,
Hi,
James.
Laura.
Good to see you as always. We're going to start right here in France. Oh dear, it's not going well, is it?
No.
Petrol pumps running dry. Parisians getting very angry about that. We've also got the prospect now of power cuts.
That's right.
Over the summer, so that's great as well. The government today, though, standing firm. Manuel Valls saying we're not backing down. A voice from the political past is coming in, though, to slam what's going on.
That's right. Nicolas Sarkozy doing what leaders of the opposition do, saying, I would have done a better job, and I did do a better job. And he's referring back to 2010, when there were protests about the reform of pensions in France. And actually, there were some quite tense scenes on the streets of Paris and around the country as well at that time, because it being France, there are protests every few years about reforms, this, that, and the other. And the French do get very, I suppose, out in the streets and protesting, whatnot. So Nicolas Sarkozy said there was no trouble and no violence during the pension reforms of 2010. And, well, a little bit of fact-checking proves that that's not strictly speaking true. Indeed,
it did get pretty rowdy, didn't it?
It did get very rowdy, and 3 million people took to the streets. So that's actually more than have taken to the streets for the current reforms of labour law. This one incident headline here points to 290 arrests at one moment. There were what they call casseurs in French lingo, or I suppose people, vandals, taking to the streets as well. So it was also very tense at that time.
It didn't go smoothly.
No, it didn't go smoothly. So it's not strictly speaking the case that it's been going more smoothly. It went more smoothly than now. Nicolas Sarkozy also wagged his finger, if you like, at the Prime Minister, saying, you know what, you should have left the Prime Minister's office a few months back. What he's talking about here is the fact that Manuel Valls could be forced out if the labour law reforms are withdrawn, or if indeed the strikes, if he has to back down. And for his own political career, it might have been more judicious to actually step down.
He's jumping the gun a little bit there, isn't he?
He is. Sarkozy is just saying, look, I would have known better about everything.
Of course. All right. Okay, well, let's move on. Let's leave the French politics there. Let's move on to something a bit more entertaining.
Yes.
James Bond, not known for his feminist credentials.
No.
It has to be said. So why not put a woman in the role?
That's right.
Great idea.
And Gillian Anderson is like, I'm all for it.
Of X-Files fame.
That's right. So she's kind of got a bit of the... I don't know if X-Files and James Bond are exactly the same genre, but there's something there. You could transfer some of the skills across. She is, of course, the wrong gender, or at least another gender, and that is creating quite a bit of debate. It was a sort of an internet poll or something like that got the whole ball rolling.
She was very good in The Fall. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't, but maybe I actually could see her in the role of a. I could totally see her in the role of a spy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's Bond, Jane Bond. She said on her Twitter
Daniel
page.
Craig doesn't want... Sorry, go on.
Well, he doesn't want to go.
He doesn't want to do it, does he?
No, he said, I'm done with it.
The amount of money he turned down, I mean...
He probably wants to reinvent himself and will
doesn't want to get typecast.
But they all say that and then they never go anywhere afterwards. Anyway, it's Bond, Jane Bond. Thanks for all the votes. So she got the kind of whole debate going about the gender aspect of things, and indeed it did become a big thing. Now, of course, there's all sorts of questions that you could tack onto that, such as what would happen to the Bond girls if Bond is a girl.
They'd have to be Bond boys, wouldn't they? Simple.
And you remember, I feel embarrassed saying this, but the Bond girl in Goldfinger in 1964 was called Pussy Galore.
Yeah.
And that was often criticised because there's a sexual connotation there. But, I mean, that was the name of the character.
Exactly.
So you'd have to apply that to... And some people have been coming up with suggestions online. I will not go into that.
Can't give us any of them?
Well, Dick Galore. Should I even say that? Sorry, I probably shouldn't.
Oh, I didn't know
well, look, Pussy Galore is equally risque. Why a woman can't play James Bond? Now, the New York Post is absolutely convinced that this is just treachery.
Why? It's 2016. It's about time a woman was in the
Well, over in London, Tim Stanley thinks the same. The name's not Jane Bond. Why 007 can never be a woman. So some people are convinced that... You know, you can go from Roger Moore to Sean Connery to such and such and such, and that's all fine, but you can't cross the gender boundary. Others saying, you know what, it's a tired old franchise, it needs a shake-up. It would really inject a bit of novelty into it.
Film? Do you know off the top of your head? 60s?
I think it was the 60s, but I can't be sure. It might have been the late 50s.
I don't know.
I can't remember. Anyway, Sean Connery, of course, as we know, was number one Bond. So look, it's generating quite a lot of discussion online. She tweeted, Gillian Anderson, the fact that she would be
She's
up for it.
isn't she?
She tweeted that on the 22nd, and it's still a buzz online. People are always interested in these
Another
sort of
actor
stories.
in the frame. Could the next James Bond be black?
That's right.
British actor Idris Elba.
That was a discussion that has already kind of taken place.
Of Luther fame.
That's right.
And others.
And it was being discussed in September of last year. But actually, one of the writers for the
He's too
franchise,
London, apparently.
He's too street, according to Horowitz, who was one of the writers. Now, he subsequently withdrew that comment and withdrew that remark by this guy Horowitz,
He
who
was
said,
in The Wire as well. He was great in that.
and again, it's not as if he can't change his acting style to be more suave, which is what
actors
Horowitz
do.
wanted. He wasn't happy about it on Instagram. He said, "Always keep smiling. It takes no energy and never hurts. Learned that from the street." So there you go. Could Bond be black? Could Bond be a girl? It's a big debate online, Nora.
It's all up for grabs. James, thank you very much indeed. James Creedon there.